I'm Steph.
And I'm Lisa.
And together we are PD Connect.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're so happy to have Heather here today.
Yeah.
And Lisa is going to go ahead and intro.
And normally we would do like an intro where we talk about all the accomplishments. Like I could say how Heather's like this ferocious advocate, and she is a ferocious advocate, and she collaborates on a bunch of different content, and she's got a lot of experience with the YOPD community. And you can find her on like PMD Alliance and like the World Parkinson's Congress or Brian Grant Foundation or Davis Finney Foundation or like,
everything
pretty
that
much
she does.
everything. Yeah. And then she's got passion. She's got a lot of passion.
She's
passionate about like music and art and improv and
karaoke.
Channeling her court jester.
Yes, we love that.
But we could go.
Okay.
Give me a K.
K.
Give me an I.
I.
Give me a hip hop.
A hippie to the hippie and the kiddo don't stop. No. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
There
Well,
it
anyway,
is.
you get it. We've got Heather Kiddo Kennedy. I'm so happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. We had to give you a good intro. And it's
all
take
you.
the floor. We're out of here now. We'll be here, but we'll mute ourselves.
Wow, this is so cool. So I just wanted to say hello, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Would you like me to start now, PD Connect? Cool. All right. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. I'd really like to make this interactive, so I'm not going to be talking for too long. I wrote a piece that I just submitted to the op-ed, and it's about how the German word for gift happens to be something that's called poison. It turns out that's what that means. Gift is also poison. And I would love to share the pronunciation of that with you in German. I could, but I only know one German word, and that's kindergarten. So I'll spare you my pronunciation, my slaughtering of the German. But I will say this. Everything is poison. It just depends upon the dose. That's the saying as it goes. So here we are. We've been given this poison of something called Parkinson's. And if you're looking for a Pollyanna to tell you everything's going to be great, I'm definitely not that person. But I can show you through the channel how many cool things are coming. So just want to sit for a minute with that. Like, it's the most awesome false cognate ever. The German word for poison being gift. But I do have a question for you. How do we, or how does one reconcile the irreconcilable? We've been given this gift, this poison. What do we do with this? Was this in your plan when you were young? They would ask you what you want to be, right? A ballerina, a veterinarian, a teacher, a policeman. That's what I used to say. I'm not sure about everybody else. But none of us said, hey, I would like to be an advocate for Parkinson's disease. I would like to suffer and have all these crazy things happen to my body until it becomes a cage. But here's the good news. Having this disease has made me humbler, has grown my empathy. It has expanded my compassion. And here's another bit of etymology for you. Compassion means suffering together. Because if you take it apart, if you sort of take that word apart, passion itself and suffering go together, but compassion is what saves us ultimately. And I don't really like that word. So the synonym for suffering is passion. And the antidote to this poison of the isolation we feel is this compassion. I don't really like the word compassion, though. I'd rather go with relatability. But here's the thing, the template with which we look at, or through rather, to others, is faulty because that's the template that we use to see ourselves, and it doesn't fit everybody. Everyone needs a different template, especially if we are increasingly disabled by Parkinson's. So how do we get the world to see us differently? We don't. We can change our template with how we see the world. For example, the next time you're in public and someone thinks that you're walking funny or treats you differently, you think about what experiences they've had. That's their lens. I'm sorry that you had a situation that made you feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry that someone in your family maybe was an addict and you think that I'm drunk and it's making you upset. It's not about us. I just wanted to start with that. Nothing's about us when somebody comes at us. But here's what we do have. We have this vibrant community. Everyone here has something to give to this community. Everyone here has something that they can do, a purpose, as Viktor Frankl said so clearly. Meaning and purpose gives us a reason to get up. You know, your feet hit the floor finally after rolling around in your sheets and getting unstuck. I don't know about you, but when I get out of bed now, it is so weird. I wake up completely paralyzed and have to rock my body from side to side. I'll do a show for you later if you like. A lot of sight gags. And then I finally lurch myself up over the corner of the bed, push myself up and jump up because I can finally get out of the bed. Or I slip off the bed and crawl to the bathroom. You can't be cocky. And that's happening. So I've been a little humbled. And maybe nobody here has that experience. I hope not. But I'm guessing a couple people know what I'm talking about. And I never thought that at age 52, I'd be buying Depends. Not good for my dating life. Just gonna point that right out. But one thing that I can get dopamine from, I have this wonderful necklace from a woman named Sara Rogar. She's a wonderful scientist out of Sweden. She makes these with one bead is totally different than the rest. And that's the day that you see your provider. There's usually 2 on each necklace because you only see your provider twice a year. Who do you learn so much from? Us, each other. I've learned more about Parkinson's from my Parkinson's friends than anyone else. Gaynor Edwards runs Spotlight YOPD. She's the first person who told me that during certain times of the year or of the month, your meds don't work. I couldn't figure it out. It was hormonal. And we can all have hormonal changes no matter what age we are. And if they affect our meds, how would we know that? No doctor ever told me that. You know, little tidbits like that. Or maybe like how protein and the Cinemet can be taken at the same time. I've got a lot of tips for you. Here's what's going to happen. So I've been doing this for a while. And the reason that I started this was absolute terror. I felt alone. I was scared. I didn't know what was happening to my body. There was no template back then. There weren't a lot of support groups. Every support group that I went to happened to be in Great Britain. Great humor, sardonic wit. But I couldn't really relate. And many of the people there were at a different stage than I was. They were either brand new or they'd been at this for quite a long time. And then I was new and I was sort of falling in the middle in these groups and I couldn't really relate. So I started to listen to things that I could relate to. And I started to find other support groups and I found my own. Like this one, you're here because something about this speaks to you. And isolation, I'm sorry, that noise of the I don't know how to turn it off. It's like a doorbell sound. It's okay. The noise of the noise of the isolation. The isolation is the part that really makes me feel as if duality is real. And I want to just say for the record, duality is an illusion. What you're going through is not an illusion, but duality makes us feel like we're alone. You're not alone. There are so many resources. PD Connect is one of the most joyful resources. PD Connect has so many opportunities to connect. Without connection, you can't do this. You must stay connected. We can take our meds. We can work out. We know workouts are great. I'm not going to belabor you with that. You can find so much information on the web. So many online classes. You got to move. You have to move every single day. And I mean really move. Just doesn't matter what it is. Don't even call it a workout. Dance in your kitchen. Move your voice too. Sing in the shower. Sing in the car. And if you have kids or grandkids, sing louder. Old-timey songs, if you know what I mean. I like to do rap from the 80s to my kids. My kids who don't realize that we didn't have the internet growing up, that we had the Dewey Decimal System, Encyclopedia Britannica. They don't know what that stuff is. I blew their mind the other day. I said, we didn't have Google. What? What do you mean, Mom? I said, we didn't have Google. We had to look stuff up. But how? How to use my brain. In fact, we didn't have the internet. They were like, oh, the internet was not available. They're like, wow. And my nephew, God bless his heart, who was 4 at the time, or 5 maybe, he was super young. He asked me if I was from another century. And I thought, well, I kind of am. He's not wrong. So here's the thing. Parkinson's makes me feel like I'm aging quickly. But what a privilege it has been to age. What a privilege it has been to learn all these things ahead of time. So back to that etymology and that poison. I know this isolation hurts us. We have Lori Mishley, who's done massive studies on this. These are research papers. These are things that are proven. This is not anecdotal or my opinion. But the suffering is a thing that's helped me. And I just want to get this out of the way first. Believe me, this is not all about suffering and pain. But I just want to say something. This is the cosmic kicker of all of this. We're given expanded perception by suffering. I wish it weren't true, but it's as human as the way our eyeballs function. We don't learn from ease. We don't learn from winning or success or privilege. We learn a little bit from suffering, from pain and rejection. We learn a little bit from hurting, but that doesn't have to make us bitter or help us or make us give up, because everything's temporary. Sometimes some days you feel like you can't go on. You're just like, that's it. Why am I doing this? This is hard. Well, think of it this way. I have a vivid memory of being in my dad's pacer. And I pulled out the lighter and I watched the inside of the lighter go from red hot to dark. And I thought, it couldn't have cooled off that fast. I better stick my finger in there and check that out. Well, I hid that blister from my parents for so long because I didn't want them to know how stupid I'd been, And I remember that, even though it's just a little tiny thing, a blister. But I don't remember all the times I didn't get burned, all the times I escaped being burned, all the times I didn't hurt and things went really smoothly and well, and I just glided on through life, dancing, and everything was great. And I was coming down the stairs like a Disney princess, and it was wonderful, and everything was great. And then I lost my glass shoe, and then I turned into Cinderella. Not, but it does feel like that when we go off. The meds stop working. Not at midnight, not with a pumpkin. And by the way, I was thinking about this the other day. Why didn't the prince just go with them to each household and look at their face? I mean, wouldn't that have been so much easier when Cinderella lost her shoe? Just a side thought. I was just thinking about that the other day. It kind of occurred to me. Anyway, there are lots of things with Parkinson's that could be a lot easier too. We get into this thing called stinking thinking. We get down. We get tired. My dad was from a Puritan family, Puritan work ethic, that is. And he used to say, fatigue makes cowards of us all. I'm like, oh no. I just remember him saying that. Sometimes we're so tired though, because we've been in quicksand all day. We've been in the mud being pulled down by Parkinson's. We're exhausted. And whether you are a care partner or a friend or someone with Parkinson's, just know there are invisible forces and invisible things, invisible illnesses and invisible disabilities that affect us all. I can't know how you feel. You can't know how I feel, but we share some commonalities. So with this fatigue, we can do something. Use it. Take the little rests and then get up and move again. Take a little rest, get up and move again. Do what you've got to do. Don't be inflexible. Like, I was supposed to do this at 3. I used to be able to do this. What has happened to me? Why can't I do this? For example, you're walking in a public place. There's a doorway and a threshold. Does anybody get stuck when they come to a doorway or threshold? It's maddening, right? And then people are behind you and you're thinking, I have to get through this doorway. Why isn't my body moving? And then you freeze even more. Pro tip. I got this from Darby Schlosser. If you can say Darby Schlosser 5 times fast, you win the lottery. I'll even mail you a gift personally. I have a book by Cat Hill. But anyway, Darby Schlosser taught me that when you come to that threshold, instead of saying, I have to get through this doorway, oh my God, these people are behind me, I'm going to fall. Take a deep breath and say, there are 3 steps to that wall. and take a deep breath and say, boom, boom, and boom. Go ahead and take those steps. There are 2 steps to that table. Boom, boom. And even if you have to take 10, make that weird little noise. Again, you won't get lots of dates making these noises. But there's one pro tip for when you get stuck. Let's say that you're super shaky and dyskinetic, which feels like someone's taking you from within and just shaking you. It's a horrible feeling. It's exhausting, right? And you're at a party. Stand up. Dance to the music. Start the dance floor. If somebody asks you what you're doing, or if you have to go to the bathroom, say, it's a new dance. You can always adapt. There's always a way. You are not a permanent fixture, just like your thoughts aren't permanent. Your thoughts don't define you. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. Let's say that you don't walk very much and that you're in a chair. How can you move your body in a chair? Do you have tennis balls you can roll your feet out on with? Do you have different things like different, pillows for your back? If you have trouble getting out of bed, have you ever heard of this thing called a bed ladder? This is the best thing I've ever seen. And I just bought one. I'm going to show it to you right now. I love the bed ladder. Because when we get stuck, usually what happens is our lower body gets a little stuck. There's all kinds of tips like this. There's a woman named Jan Grimes. She's an inventor of sorts. She does a lot of things on the Davis Finney. And she invents all kinds of things like this. They'll make your life so much easier. Look for Jan Grimes. Grimes. And there are all kinds of things you do to make your grip stronger. I got a little brain here that I can squish. Even if you're just sitting there watching TV, do it. Whether you have Parkinson or not. Little things like that. Hydration. Lots of it. You're going to be dry, and the next you know, you're drooling. So, just drink a lot of water. It'll be good. Human touch. Very important. Don't forget. It could be a massage. It could be a hug. It doesn't have to be sexual, but just somebody to touch you. Put their hand on your shoulder. Don't forget to hug people. The mailman's going to be weirded out, maybe, but I live alone. I have a dog. It's a great companion to have a dog or a cat. It moves the energy around your house. They can get underfoot. I live on a 1st-story floor now. I don't have any stairs because I'm terrible at not having my hands free when I go down the stairs. Highly recommend. Do not go down the stairs with anything in your hands if you still walk down the stairs. And make noises when you walk. Count. Each leg is a different sound. Oompa, oompa, oompa. Add more sound and beats into your day, no matter what you're doing. And when you get up from your chair today, or wherever you're sitting right now, I dare you to make some noise. Just count. Go, or put on some music. Those beats will help you walk. If you find yourself frozen again, and the face is frozen, think of Severus Snape. Do you know who he is? He's from Harry Potter. Everybody thought he was mad and he was the bad guy because his face was kind of like, well, guess what? He was the good guy. He just looked bad. People like to read body language. That's universal. We get the frozen face when we're off. That's a fact. And it's cool. You're still the good guy. You're still the good guys. Don't ever forget that. So sometimes I wear this shirt in public. My shirt says, it's Parkinson's. I'm not drunk, butthead. Something along those lines. And I often wonder what everybody else's shirts would say. Everybody's got a shirt. Everybody's got something that doesn't show, that hurts them, that's making them feel misunderstood or mischaracterized. And we do this to ourselves. We do this thing called comparative thinking. I used to be able to do A. Now I can only do a little bit of this, or now I can't do that anymore. Yeah, but what can you do? I invite you to make a list of all the things that are going right. We wake up, the sun comes up again. Our heart is beating. We get some clean water. We're able to move, to sing. If we can use our voice, we do that. If we can't use our voice, if our voice has been affected by Parkinson's, then that means that you have the thought come out really quickly, and there's this labyrinth that it has to go through to come out. That must be maddening. When I'm off, I have that happen. My family loves it because they can get a word in edgewise. Just like when I told them that I could no longer play the violin because I couldn't do the vibrato part, they were like, oh, that's terrible, because I wasn't very good. But what I can do now is I can do the robot when I dance. And I still go out every chance I get, because getting out of your house it turns out it's really good for you. Fresh air, a little bit of sunshine, whatever you can grab. Hunt dopamine like your life depends upon it. Take your rests, but hunt that dopamine. The reason that I'm saying this all in a circuitous manner is because I don't know if you've noticed this, but Parkinson's is not predictable. Does anybody here have a Parkinson's that's always the same every day and never changes? Anybody? Isn't it crazy how like 1 minute you can be totally on, and then without any warning, you're just like, help. It reminds me of that John Prine song, Hello in There. I love that song. If you see me walking by, just say hello in there. Like, I'm still here. My thoughts are coming through fast. They might even be a little psychotic sometimes. I might see a shadow out of the corner of my eye. It's part of the disease. There are side effects of the drugs. There's a great thing called The Dark Side of Parkinson's. It was done by two of my favorite guys. Well, one in Great Britain, John Stamford. The other one is Anders Lianes. I can never say his last name. He's a filmmaker from Norway. And it covers the dark side of Parkinson, as in a psychosis. Waking up and thinking someone's next to you in the corner of your eye or stuff like that. If that happens, don't be scared. You're not going mad. That's just part of it. That will pass too. Just talk to your doctor about it. You can handle anything. I mean, look at us. We're up. Some of us are showered. Some of us have pants on. We got here, and through the miraculous internet, we pressed a button and we can see each other. How cool is that? And you have an entire world filled with people with Parkinson's that you can call at any time. I have friends in Uganda. Just because we shared a disease. And here's a story for you. My friend has a mother who had Parkinson's, and before they knew what Parkinson's was, they thought that it was something they could catch. So they would sort of slide dinner under the door for her and stuff, you know, they would kind of keep her over here. Now they know better because there's education. But she didn't have access to meds. Can you imagine? I've been in the hospital without access to meds, strangely enough. And by all costs, avoid the emergency room, my friends. Last time I was there, they gave me Benadryl for dopamine loss and too much dopamine. They don't necessarily understand it, but we do. Call us, call each other. We are your touchstones. Are all of you at a place where you've linked in with each other? Like, do you have numbers that you can share? Every once in a while, it's really good you guys have a phone list? That is great. A lot of places do not have phone lists, so that is so cool of you guys. Just to share things, get it off your chest, feels good. So what I'm going to ask now, take a little pause, and I want you to just stand up and take a couple of deep breaths, and then just think of some questions. We can maybe talk, and maybe you guys want to move around a little bit. What do you think, ladies? Sounds good. I'm just going to stand up and stretch, make some noise. Feels really good.
Sounds good.
And if you're in a chair, just wiggle around.
That's
I
all we
love
got.
the noises.
We're still working on
Yeah.
our beatboxing
I get-
session.
I
That's
want to do
pretty
beatbox,
good.
but anyways.
It's pretty good. I'm gonna find my rings. I have these things called smoothie rings.
Oh,
Has anybody seen these smoothie rings?
Yes.
They have little metal balls in them. And the reason that matters is because when you don't have the inertia with a full arm swing, they make you swing. I don't get many dates anymore because I look really weird walking down the street now. But it makes noises and it keeps your arms going. Not weird at all. Yes, Smoothie, I see it. You have them. Miguel has them. Oh, that's so cool. Aren't they great? You can use, by the way, bottles of water, and it will do a similar thing. Like just take half the water out. Make sure they're the long bottles. Those are the cheaters, smoothie rings. There's a lot of cheats in here too, if you want to check this book out. A lot of little things you can do. It's called Being Well with Chronic Illness. Highly recommend. Just read it, love it. So, anybody have any questions about anything? Oh, George has got him too. Awesome. I love seeing this movie ring. And no, I don't get kickbacks for anything. Nothing.
How good, can I ask a question?
Yes.
How long did it take you to accept that you have Parkinson's?
Oh, I was a hysterical woman for years. I was crazy. I needed antidepressants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was all in my head. I've had Parkinson's probably 20 years, judging by my first symptoms. And I was diagnosed in 2011. So that'll give you an idea. Yeah, but you know what? That's okay. It's a really hard thing to diagnose. And these weren't movement disorder specialists either, until I went to a movement disorder specialist, which you must have an MDS. Yeah, they didn't know. When do you tell someone you are dating the PD? Ooh, great question. Oh my gosh. Okay. You're going to go on a date. How far along you are, they're going to see it anyway. If you're brand new and you can still hide it, you could try. That's an awful lot of energy. You know, and besides, wouldn't you rather know up front that it's going to be a problem that you have a chronic disease? Come as you are. Because ultimately, we're dating to find someone that we can love. Ultimately, I'm not saying everybody's looking for the same thing. We might just want to just have a little fun. If that's true, then, you know, by all means, play it how you want. But it feels like an awful weight to hide it. Might as well just say it for dating, for meeting people. Yes, movie rings. Smoothie Med.
Smoothie.
I think they're pretty expensive. That's why I gave you the bottle tip. Someone gave these to me to test. So. So yeah. Any other questions about that stuff though, about when to disclose or how you bring it up, or has anyone ever, you know, had that happen?
Can you repeat the name of the book?
Sure can.
Now I've got a pen.
Being Well with Chronic Illness.
And the author?
Kat Hill, Hill, and Nancy Peat, Peat. And they're great.
Have you ever had to tell a prospective employer, someone you're interviewing with, and how did you do it?
I did.
When did you do it? Did you tell them up front or?
Before I went for the interview, I said I live with a chronic illness, and they're not allowed to ask what that is.
Right.
So I let them meet me first to see if we could, you know, get along, because I didn't want to disclose everything at first, because people have an idea. Remember what I said about people using their own template on you. They're using the lens of their own experience. So if you say Parkinson, they see the illustration of the shaky dude that we find on the internet. That's not an adequate representation of us. So let them meet you first, and then you can explain if it comes up, but they're not allowed to ask. You don't have to disclose if you don't want to. But if it's something that you think might affect your work performance, I would want to know either way. I've told people, because I'm on short-term projects, so I always tell them. So I'm in sort of a unique position to not have to be in a long-term with each company that I work with. So I'm probably a bad person to ask too. But you don't have to.
So you freelance? Are you a freelance? What do you freelance as?
I, you're gonna love this one. I get lost in the rabbit hole for a living. I validate content. So at the last minute, there's an online zine that wants to publish something. They have to pick an outside source to validate and confirm that. Yeah, it didn't work very well when I was psychotic though. I really was for a little while. I was taking this one drug that I just didn't react well with. I got super paranoid. And that rabbit hole was not that much fun. But it
You're a
passed.
fact. We used to call those fact checkers.
Yes, that's right. I'm a
Yeah.
fact checker.
Yeah, yeah, I've done that.
Part-time.
Oh.
Yeah. You've done that?
Yeah, well, I'm a freelance editor writer,
Oh,
And-
wow.
permissions research and some fact checking.
It's
So-
so hard to check your own writing. So I do need people like you in my life. Thank you.
Okay, we have Robert and then Pinky and then Sandy.
Sandai.
Is what we call her, that have questions also.
Go ahead, Robert.
Heather, I belong to a couple of study groups, a Torah study group and a philosophy group that I run. Frequently, I find that I know what I sort of have an idea what I want to say, but it sort of comes out very stilted. I'm sort of disinclined to interact, but I tend to interact anyway, anyhow, regardless of how it comes out. And my Parkinson doctor recommended that I go through some speech cognitive therapy. I don't know if speech therapy that's cognitive wise. I don't know if you've been through that, whether it works or what. And so I was questioning about that because I'm willing to try that because I do like to interact in these groups.
Yes. It's so isolating. Like I said, the idea or the response comes out very quickly, but then it gets lost in that labyrinth somewhere in the brain. And then we have aphasia and all kinds of other things. And talk is so lightning fast. And people with the internet, everything's happening so quickly. By the time we say what we want to say, no one's going to pause and wait for us unless they know us. I work with a guy named Mike Qualia, as he keeps repeating that to me over and over again. I call him Mike Q. His partner, Mike Aiken, was the other part of the Mike and Mike radio show. He lost his ability to speak because of DBS. That's the only reason I'm there. I'm covering for him because I'm the one with the big mouth. And I can also talk to him ahead of each interview and he lets me know what he wants to say. So I try to say it for him. However, in your case, which is very different because you sound speaking to me. I mean, perfectly stated. I used to be in a philosophy group too called Wisdom's Goldenrod. Silly. But I think with the philosophy and with the way that you like to interact and with the way you like to share ideas, is there a way that you can say before you start speaking, sometimes I'm just gathering some ideas. If you could just give me a beat before jumping in, if it's something that you really, really want to say, or you can use the notes like people are using here. And there are tons of voice to text applications you can also use, because I can use my hands, that will help you ahead of time, like have those voice to texted with you. So you can use them in some of these talks, like if you're giving a presentation or something maybe. But part of the reason that those programs work is because they work with the diaphragm. For example, every time you sing or talk, it's about breath. But part of the reason why we have trouble with our speech is not so much that labyrinth up here as the way that we can't breathe and talk simultaneously. And our breath control is different with Parkinson's. So the Big and Loud program is one example. And I'm sure that PD Connect could give you a few others. Speech therapist, great idea. And guess what else is a big idea? And I'm not kidding, karaoke. Because it gets your heart rate up, there's pressure, but not anything real. And you're sort of forced in the moment. Sing every chance you get, recite live poetry, even just a couple of lines. And then for carers and people that are with you, please just wait a beat, before answering. Listen to really listen whenever possible, instead of thinking what I'm going to say next, because that also helps from the other side. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, sure did. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You sound great, by the way. Yeah. So Mark and
Pinky, oh yeah.
Pinky, yep.
Hi there. Thank you so much. This has been really, really great. I'm curious about the rings and what are they used for? I see in the chat they're called smoothies.
yes. And
And
like I said, I think they're probably very expensive. I've never seen these for sale in America yet. But
Okay,
you could I'll show you how to use a bottle of water. You need something that's long like this, like a bottle of water that's long, and just empty half of it.
okay.
Same feeling of the water sloshing. And the reason why that matters, have you ever noticed, at least on one side for all of us, you think you're following through, right? You're going all the way up, you're going straight out, right, with your hand. But the other hand looks kind of like, unless you have a mirror, you don't even realize you're not extending when you're walking. One is not moving. This is to help you keep moving. It gets that body memory in place of inertia.
Oh.
Just like a cycling can work when we can't walk. Same concept.
Oh,
Have you ever
wow.
noticed you can run and skip sometimes, but you can't even walk? It's the brain mechanisms. Walking requires a totally different part of your brain. Just like writing is different than typing, is different than voice texting. Different parts of the brain. So this, in essence, closes that circuitry and goes straight to the part of your brain that remembers to follow through with the full movements. And the sound helps too.
Okay.
Bye. Just kidding. Bye. And it feels good too because it vibrates a little bit.
Okay.
So inertia, movement makes movement. Inertia in all things. Yeah,
That's great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
sure. Now remember, if you use the water, well, you just take half of the water out and let it slosh. Same thing. Don't tell smoothie rings, I said.
Okay, Sand, I also noticed Sandy.
Uh-oh, did we lose her?
I was muted, talking away. So how did you get involved with all these different Parkinson's related nonprofits?
This is interesting. My first blog, like anybody reads blogs, I wrote a bunch of things that ended up being like, have you ever heard this police song, Message in a Bottle? Like I sent these messages out into the world thinking that no one was going to read this. It was just a place to put my angst. I was so sad. I had young kids. I was going through divorce. I lost someone that I loved very much. My grandma died. My dad was diagnosed with dementia. I was so wrecked. So I started writing and I just sent it out. Little by little, a lot of people would gather and say, hey, something you said in your writing was relatable and helped me feel less alone. And then they would write me. And one of those people happened to be Davis Finney. And another one of those people happened to be Brian Grant or someone from his organization. Another one of those people happened to be someone from the World Parkinson's Congress. And I went there then and I spoke in Portland and then again in Kyoto. And I met people from around the world and we all started talking. And because I'm vulnerable, because I believe the cracks are where the light gets in, that's Lenny Cohen or Jesus, whoever you want to attribute it to, but the cracks are where the light gets in. So I wasn't afraid to say, I'm broken. This is scary. What do we do now, guys? Like, help. And so I got little by little just a sort of people asking me to come talk or hang out or participate. So now I'm working as an ambassador for the WPC, but don't ask me for directions in Barcelona, okay? If I see you there, I'll be like, I think it's that way. So that's kind of how I got my start in this. And remember what I said about Viktor Frankl, I need to feel useful. I need to be in service. Being in service feels really good. So.
Thank you.
Kiddo, I'm still in Japan.
What?
I don't even know how I got out of there.
Right? That was crazy. We were so lost on the train. We got so lost. It's talk about labyrinths.
Super lost. Yeah.
And the language is so easy.
Yeah, so easy. Oh, goodness. I have a question, but Miguel has a question first. So Miguel, go ahead.
Actually, it was just more of a add-on to the Smovies. They were invented by a tennis player who got Parkinson's, and the vibration he put in there because he felt it dealt with the tremor, that he could counter the tremor like DBS, but with this physical thing of feeling the vibration in your
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's really, really cool.
I think they used to have a place in Santa Monica, California, where you could buy them. That was like 5 years ago. I don't know if they're still there or not. You may have to order them from Europe, which would bring the price up considerably, I would think.
If I find it, I'll go looking now, Miguel. And if I find it, I will text our PD Connect connections.
I
There-
actually made a version. I jerry-rigged some PVC pipe.
Oh, cool.
And you can put, it's basically PVC pipe. This is, how many inches? I don't
It's
know.
very long.
Anyways, but, no, you can, I made a smaller one. I can't find it. And then you put BBs into it, but you could probably put like
beans
rice.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
beans
beans
Right,
or
or
something else.
rocks,
But now that I
Oh.
see this movie, you could just use corrugated pipe if
Mhm.
it bends, and then find a connector link and put the beads or the rice in there too. I think I used the BBs because it needed that weight. The beans might be too
Yeah.
light,
Yeah,
but
these are
absolutely.
really
And
heavy.
then you get these little stoppers and it gives you the sound.
I think we made those in kindergarten, and they had pinto beans, and it was made out of the paper towel roll. But you get the idea, right? Similar idea, but yeah, something heavier like that. Love that.
Necessity, the mother of invention, like a rain stick.
Thank
So
you.
cool.
The other.
Yes, exactly. The rain stick. Okay, great. So, someone also said
question?
Amazon
Yeah.
sells this movie ring
For like
also.
$179 on
Mhm.
Amazon.
You better get that PVC pipe.
Yeah,
There
you better
you
get
go.
that pipe going.
Corrugated pipe. Go to
Yes.
the garden store, you
Yes.
know.
Okay.
Did you get all the questions in the chat?
Oh, let me check it out.
Mike said,
Check it out. Oh, wow. Okay, those movies. Being well, yes, thank you for posting that. Cinnamon, yes, the protein will block the absorption of your cinnamon if you eat protein simultaneously. That is absolutely correct. Do you ever wonder why your meds don't work while you have a full stomach? Yeah, and then we have that additional thing where we get a little backed up. Yeah, do lots of fiber and stuff too. And then such messing. Oh, thank you. Oh, me too. My father had, so I'm someone who's writing The Greatest Fear would be losing your mind. Well, I've already lost my mind in many ways, but my memory is going. My father had that happen too. Yeah, concentration. The executive functioning is impaired by Parkinson's. I'm sure you all know that. So please don't think that you are losing it. The end of writing, absolutely not. Mike, there's so much you can do. I have the concentration of a goldfish, and I can still write. I just put something to the op-ed today. Like I said, it's the New York Times. They might say no. Oh, well. But I can concentrate enough to dictate a few things. It doesn't have to be an hour or two. Do it in pieces. Bird by bird, like Anne said. Bird by bird. You still got it. Yeah. And micrographia, we'll use voice text or whatever we can. You know, is anyone here a care partner? And are there any questions on how you can, you know, keep your energy up? Or any other questions by people who want to communicate differently?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you constantly experimenting with your meds to find out what works and what goes? I find myself doctor will prescribe something, and I'll try it, and it won't work, so I go back, I always end up going back to just cinnamon. I just wondered if you had lots of experience in terms of experimenting with different medicines.
I've tried a witch doctor, I've tried a psychic, I've tried craniosacral, I've tried body talk, Reiki, everything. Of course, I've tried all the meds too. The one that made me a little kooky was called ungentis. I've tried everything, but it works differently in everybody. I've tried and Jibra, the one that you have to, inhale and it goes all over you, like powder goes all over and you choke and cough, but it still works sometimes. The cinnamon, I always go back to it too. I've tried Rai Tari, I've tried Mercuna puriens, which is like a powder, this bean you can put in. I ended up in the emergency room with that. Took a little bit too much and became like so dyskinetic, it was off the charts. So careful with those supplements and additives that are not measured correctly. But yeah, I'm always back at cinnamon. It's been around since 1969 for a reason.
What about food? Is there any foods that contain natural dopamine?
Yeah, like I just mentioned, the Mercuna puriens. Let me see if I can spell that for you. That is a bean sort of powder, and it does work. Boy, did it ever. When my friend put a half cup in instead of a fifth of a teaspoon, he thought that it was protein powder. Yes. So yeah, it's from the velvet bean. It's a dopamine boosting supplement that they sell it everywhere. It's like pure dopa, basically, but it's not regulated. So careful. I'm not saying to use it. I'm saying I've tried it. Be very careful and only under careful supervision. Like if you're just going to be pouring it in, don't have that in your house. Everything affects us. We're like the princess and the pea. We change one med, we deprescribe off one, get another. We're always prescribing and deprescribing. So Richard, I've never found my perfect pill concoction. It always changes. And then I got DBS. I got deep brain stimulation. I had them cut open my head. I have a big battery sticking out of my chest, which is really fun in the airport when you see little kids. I lean in and I go, I'm a robot. And when their parents look back over, I'm like, yeah, you show them your little battery sticking out of your chest. It's really fun. Doesn't work that well though, for me, but whatever. It's another conversation.
It's nice to know that you're validating something that I was wondering about.
Oh yeah. And everything changes it, like how much sleep you got. Did you work out? Are you hydrated? Are you constipated? There's so many. Are you upset? Have you ever noticed when you're upset, you can't move? What a dirty trick. That's tough.
I found that stress also has a very debilitating effect on myself.
So whatever you can do to alleviate that stress for you, everyone here, do it. You're doing a public service that way. Whatever you can do. Whereas meditation, stretching, seeing a friend, whatever. You got to take care of that part first. Whatever brings you joy. What do you say, Miguel?
I've got a question. I apologize. I can't figure out how to use this chat thing. So it's sitting there on the side open. I don't know where to start. So I'm just going to do unmute and pose my question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My dad had Parkinson's. And that was a good lesson for me to see how it went for him at any rate. It made it easier for me to deal with when I got it because I expected it. Just like I expected, I was in the stats for getting breast cancer, which I did get, which I did survive from. But here's the thing that's really frustrating to me. I've been on the internet and I've looked at Facebook groups, and I've read the news, and the whole run of the deal. And there's nothing more frustrating than feeling like all the information we need is right there at our fingertips. Something's out there that's just like, not that I'm looking for an easy fix, but there's got to be something that we're not doing right, that we're not collaborating enough. That, like there's one foundation, I wrote an advocacy letter, and they said in their bullet list of points to send the letter was that Parkinson's is not something that will diminish with time. You know how we really talk about we can delay the disease, which I think most of us adhere to some modicum of that. I mean, I shouldn't make assumptions, but that's what I hear around me. And for a foundation to say that is pretty unnerving. It's like you're pulling the plug out from what gives me juice. Anyway, that's my sort of question.
Can you repeat again the foundation's summary?
The foundation is asking for a letter of advocacy. And they have bullet points that they want you to touch on. And one of the bullet points was specifically that Parkinson's is not something you can delay. And I disagree with that strongly. But here's a major new foundation that's promoting that concept.
Yeah. I understand what they're doing. They're managing expectations because all we can really do is manage this disease. However, if you talk to Jimmy Choi, he's 20 years in. And I just worked out with him, by the way, in the next 5 days I spent hiding from him. In here. I
He's
couldn't
so
even
in shape.
walk. I mean, I really couldn't walk the next day. It was all Jimmy's fault. So I was hiding. But here's what Jimmy Choi would say about that. 10 years ago, I was at the top of the stairs with my baby boy and I fell down the stairs. I was using a walker. I was obese. I was disoriented. I was depressed. I started working out again, got a new drug regimen, got a new doctor, and he's better than ever. You can look at him and all you see the shaking.
Yeah.
You don't see it, but
He
is
looks healthy.
wonderful, and he can walk in a stride, and he's great again. So anything can happen is the answer to that. Beware of the comparative thinking, but anything can happen. In fact, Jimmy is much better than he used to be before Parkinson's, he says.
Yeah.
You've seen him probably. He's the American Ninja Warrior guy.
I've read about him. I've seen him on TED Talk, and he's been around.
Yeah. But not everybody can be a Jimmy Choi. I'm just using him as an extreme
right.
example. We do things in very small increments.
There's a lot of permutations out there.
Exactly, Lori, yes. And by the way, breast cancer survivor, you got a double whammy there.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Well, that's
you were
why it's easy for me to relate to. Anything's possible.
yes,
Because it is.
yes.
And get
how's
both
your
of
health
these things,
now?
not just one, but two.
Yeah. How's your health now?
I have tremor, I have DBS. I am doing really well, though. My physical abilities are really pretty strong. I was a dancer in my past, so I think that's helped. There's some memory there that's helped me out.
Pivoting.
What's that?
You're pivoting,
Pivoting? Oh.
right? As a dancer, you know, you can sort of pivot sometimes on your foot. 'Cause it's
Oh,
hard to
I
go
think of
backwards.
the B+, which is what you do when you give your bow.
Yes.
You do your little thing where you just kind of go B+.
That's correct.
I don't know why that is, if that's what we called it, B+.
Yeah.
That was Balanchine Ballet.
Yeah. Wow. That
So
gives a lot
thank you.
of
Thank you
sense.
for reassuring me that there's still hope.
Yes. Talk to David Leventhal too about that question.
Who?
David Leventhal. He works with the Mark Morris Dance Project.
Oh, yeah. Well, I cited that organization as an example because they have a satellite version of it here in Sonoma County.
Sonoma, cool.
Yeah.
down-
I think
I'm
music and
thinking-
Parkinson's is a good partnership.
Oh, yes.
A world of difference.
Music makes the people come together.
Music, and even when we do PD Connect, when we do the sections with music, we do
Yeah.
way better, don't we, girls? Yeah.
I even do better. I have 2 left feet and I feel the jams when
got
I'm coming out.
moves
Yeah, I
like
love it.
chickens.
Yeah, all my
Got
moves
the
come out.
chicken dance down.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Not for you.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I could ask you a question if you'd like, but that's a whole nother segment. So my question is, you know, you kind of mentioned the dark side of Parkinson's and you touched on that. As a motivational speaker, how do you stay motivated on days that are really tough for you?
Yeah.
It is hilarious that the motivational speaker thing came up. Somebody else called me that. I didn't call myself that for sure, but I was on a live radio show about 6 months ago. And I was invited on, and she's like, and now we have our motivational speaker, the queen of happiness, Heather Kennedy. And I'm on there like, what? And my family's looking at me like, what did she just, did you lie to her? I get very, very down. The thing that saves me is that all things are temporary. Everything is temporary. And I have no control. I'm not in control. I lean on, well, in my case, I use a lot of spiritual teachings. I read a lot of Pema Chodron and things like that. I inform myself with a whole lot of different literature. Like I have here Ben Stetcher's book, which I'm going to get rid of my backdrop so you can see it. Love the idea of reading a lot and informing ourselves. And I talk to people who bring me joy. Brain Fables. It's by Alberto Espe and Benjamin Stetcher, who's quite a controversial scientist, by the way. But I'm not very happy. I'm not very Pollyanna. I can be quite serious because the ego needs a job. The ego likes to be in control, but the ego gets crushed when we have Parkinson. It really does. And that's not such a bad thing. Oh, my son's here now. You should ask him how happy I am. He'll be like, depends. Hey, Cage, am I always happy? See, am I sometimes happy?
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. 22-year-old said it first. Anyway,
Love it.
yeah, you just gotta be real.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And then I did have another question, and then we have two other questions. I know we're running out of time, but are you okay on time?
All right.
I think you muted yourself.
There
Oh,
you
got it.
go.
Okay.
You're all day.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Susan, did you have a question?
Susan V.
Susan V, did you leave again?
Oh, maybe Susan lost our connection.
No, hi, I didn't leave.
Okay,
I
good.
just didn't want to, I wasn't sure how much time we had.
Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase this, but I'm getting my right side, my toes are like curling crazy. And do you guys have any suggestion? Yeah. And then the big toe goes up and the other curl under, and I can't find a shoe. I don't know if there's, oh, okay. So is there any magic shoes that we have and that we can order?
Well, I use
Or exercises?
I use Kizix, and I put my the podiatrist gives me inserts. Highly recommend having a podiatrist and get your own inserts made, please.
I do have,
Yeah.
I have an appointment December 23rd, but I'm getting one.
Call them every day and see if they have some, so
Oh,
you
I
can
have-
go get well.
Yeah.
But you want to get the inserts from your podiatrist because what it helps with is as your foot starts to do that, the arch goes up because the muscles on this part of the leg are very tight. So you want to do those stretches against the wall where you I can't do it on camera, but you're stretching your lower calf muscle.
Oh, yeah.
Or for some people, like there are two
I
different
did-
ways, but
I did
Those
those in the middle of the night when I'm dancing.
oh, you get dyskinesia, disco. Yeah, disco is fun.
No. I get real bad leg cramps and whatnot.
Sure.
So I just have to kind of move
Do you
it
take
out.
gabapentin? Have you ever talked to your doctor about gabapentin?
I'm taking that. Yeah.
A restless leg. Okay. just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
Also
Thank you though.
Salt baths at night, which I take almost every single night now. and I-
Oh,
Doing massage, and what I do is I rub some. Let's see if I have it over here. I do not.
I have one of those little foot massager things. It's okay.
Well, yes, me too. And definitely
Oh,
grab.
that's not right. I had the one with the water. You soak in
okay,
it.
cool.
Yeah.
It's under my desk. It's just keep it
Oh, a
circulating.
friend of mine has that. Yeah.
Yeah, get some
But-
tennis balls. You need a combination of balls. So get the lacrosse ball for the harder, or the golf ball for the harder stuff, and then get the tennis balls. I think my dog stole all my tennies, but get the tennis ball and just rub your foot over it. There you go.
Oh. I'm
Yeah, and
back.
just keep rubbing your feet on it so that you're just rolling your feet out until they
Okay.
crunch.
Yeah.
And make sure that you rub your feet or have your partner rub your feet.
Yeah.
That's always good.
And I drink tonic water and pickle juice and, things I hear that
Quinine?
might work. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But
And
it's,
Yep.
It's harder for me to find a shoe because I'm a hiker.
So you're having dystonia. Is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
I don't know that. I don't remember.
Get Botox for dystonia in my feet, and I keep saying, could you just slip a little bit?
No, but I
Okay.
mean, it's hard because I got, I'm hiking on Thursday and I've been trying to break my boots in and I know it's not my boots, it's my toes. And I need to figure out something for that to,
Yeah.
to help
Talk
that
to your doctor
along.
about Botox in your feet.
Okay.
Just see what
Wow.
sheer, he says. Yeah.
Huh. Thank you.
Who would have thunk botulism?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you heard of trying mustard? Because I have found it wonderfully helpful for my leg cramps and my arm cramps at night. And I got that from Steph and it works. Mustard.
It's an old trick we use on the soccer field when all of our girls go for a sprint and they pull their hamstring and it gets so tight that they can't move their leg. We have a bottle of just regular French's yellow mustard. We shoot it right into their mouth and they walk right off the field. And then they sprint as soon as we sub them in. Yeah.
And it works.
Really?
Yeah, but it
I
works
do that
wonders.
with dill pickle juice. I just
Yeah,
drink it.
yeah,
Okay. So
Yeah.
the salty goodness in the vinegar and
yeah. Some people like to eat it with hot dogs, but whatever. I mean, not all
Not-
of us
not
eat
ketchup.
meats.
I
Not,
think
yeah, not
some-
ketchup though. Yeah,
Yeah,
not relish,
not ketchup.
mainly mustard.
why are your
But-
teeth all yellow, Ma? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I did have one person take me very literally and took the mustard and rubbed it on his legs, got into the white sheets, stained the sheets, tried to send me the bill. It was a whole thing. Please don't rub it on you. It doesn't work like that. You got to
No,
put it in your
Don't
mouth.
rub it on your legs.
Yeah, don't rub
Okay,
it on your legs.
obviously I'm in that. That's what I thought you meant at first.
Okay,
when you
good.
said
In the
mustard. I
mouth.
was like,
Yeah.
put it on
Shot
your-
in the mouth. Yeah. Nope, don't put it on your body. It doesn't work like that. Good idea though.
Oh
Miguel
my
has a
God.
question. Miguel has a question or maybe a comment.
About DBS, can you feel the wires in your head when you're like laying on your yoga mat with your head down and
Yes.
you can feel it?
And I can't sleep on my left side anymore because you put it on my left and that's where you digest well. You sleep on your left side at night, it's better for you than your right, apparently.
Left is better than the
Right.
right.
And they really hurt if I lie on my left side now. And the battery sticks way out. I'll show you. It's
Yeah,
really,
the battery is really obvious.
yeah. Because I'm so skinny up here that
Does it bother you?
no, not at all. Unless somebody hugs me like really tight. Can you see it?
It should be like a hand. It should be shaped like a hand pressing out of
Yeah.
your.
I said, why
or
can't
a
you hide
face.
my boob? I said, can you just hide in my boob? And he's like, no one's ever asked us that before, but that's kind of weird.
They have
So-
these doctors have no sense of humor.
Yeah, no, especially surgeons. They just want to cut and leave.
My current neurologist, on the day,
Uh-oh, we muted. You got muted. Miguel, you're muted.
how about now?
Yeah. Okay.
So my first meeting with my neurologist, and he's running me down and asking all these questions, and he does the whole routine with the hands and all of that, and he brings out the little metal, yes, exactly. Brings out the little metal hammer with the rubber triangle thing that you hit your knee with.
You're like, really?
He brings it out and he hits my knees and stuff. And he starts to put it away. And I said, doctor, I think that's broken. I think it needs to be recalibrated.
He's like, this guy.
And he had an intern with him sitting beside me who broke out laughing. And he just turned around and looked at me and says, I don't have a sense of humor.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't known for their bedside manner either.
No, he said, there's nothing more he can do for me.
Oh.
I'm stuck with DBS. These
He's reached his limitations. Let's talk because they programmed me so many times. They're sick of seeing me and my stupid dad jokes. So let's talk. If your programming is not working, we should talk.
yeah, okay.
It does keep the dystonia at bay. What Susan was describing, my foot used to curl so that my toes touched my heel.
Yeah, I get it pretty
Don't
bad
do
too.
that.
I get it all the way up my whole leg from my calf, to my thigh, and my hamstring, and I'm in utter pain. And
Did you ever get
kilometers-
Botox?
Pardon me?
Did you ever Botox in your feet?
I haven't, no.
Oh, check it out. It really helps.
Okay, so I just talked to my primary care doctor about that?
Yes. You have
Okay.
to deal with specialty pharmacies.
I have,
But
yeah, okay, that can be
It's worth it.
negotiated.
yeah,
All right. Are you satisfied with your DBS?
nope. But it's different for everyone.
Yeah, but
Really?
it's also different nopes for everyone too.
Yes.
'Cause I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think it's perfect.
Yeah, I had unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be walking again. My off times would magically disappear. Oh no, I got the I have PSI, yeah, I have the globus pallidus one that's the, it's in the PSI, I think it's called. I can't even think.
I
what it
can't
is.
remember what those are. I don't know what those.
Asia,
sites-
A, B,
the
C, D,
sites-
F, G.
Yeah.
I don't have the STN. I have the other one, GPI.
Were you awake when it was done?
No way. I saw that Hannibal Lecter show. Although I do know someone who's awake for hers, and they moved it while she was awake because she knew something was off, and it now works. Becca Miller, she tells the story all the time. Brilliant woman, by the way. Look up Becca Miller's work. She's great.
Becca Miller?
Yale-y, she's a doctor. She wrote the book Deprescribing with psychiatric drugs. She co-wrote that book.
They just want to use psychiatric drugs for everything. And I just feel like that's the exercise and diet
Yeah.
and socializing.
Sometimes works.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's cases where it doesn't work, but
Yeah. There are times when people are clinically depressed or really crippled by this type of thing that it's good for that. But
Yeah.
sometimes we can get through a great amount of it without them. That is correct. And they kind of flatline us, some of those things.
I just saw a webinar with this guy named Dr. Greg Pantone from the Johns Hopkins University, who did a study regarding anxiety. And there's basically people with Parkinson's have two types of anxiety. One, which is generalized anxiety disorder, which the whole world has basically.
Yes.
And then there is a kind of anxiety that is particular to people with Parkinson's that relates to the wearing off of their medication. So it's not psychological, but neurological. And
Causal,
it
chemical.
can't be fixed with SSRIs.
That is correct. Although they do have their purpose.
Yes, oh
Somewhat.
yes, they do. I'm not saying people shouldn't
Yes.
use them.
I'm totally with you. There's causal and there's chemical. We get hit from all sides.
Yeah.
Like when my son used to play football and I'd watch him get hit from both sides and he'd go down. I'm like, oh no. Same thing.
Right. Hit them high, hit them low.
Susan, did you have a quick question? I have a last question to ask too, to end our conversation here.
Yes, really, really quick. Something was said that reminded me. Okay, so I have this thing about taking pills. You know, I have a doctor, my main doctor, I just call her my referral doctor because she always refers me to somebody else. And it's always take another pill, take another pill. Is there anything natural that you guys really would, you know, cheerlead for, that like for the pain in the legs, or for, you know, for the throat, for the speech? Well, I'm doing voice therapy now, so
Excellent.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. But it's like my friend, he's actually a doctor, he's a dentist, and he said put some pot stuff on it. I forget the letters.
Right. It's cannabis now.
Yeah, and
They
I've
call
tried it. I was
cannabis.
like, I don't know if it works or not,
Very
because I haven't tried it very much. So I don't know. Is there anything out there, I mean, that you guys naturally think works? Because I have this thing about, you know, because I truly believe the pharmaceutical company just has a hold on all of us, doctors and insurance and everything else. Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's just my little soapbox.
it's akin to holding up an umbrella in a nuclear holocaust sometimes. You know, we're getting hit pretty hard. Sometimes we need the big guns. But if anybody has anything, I'd love to hear what it is.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say a few words on behalf of sadness. It's not depression. Hello? Hear me?
1 second, Bill, 1 second.
Yes, just 1 sec. We're listening.
Well, it seems like it's uncool to be sad. It's threatening. It threatens depression. But actually, I think we have a lot to be sad about, and it doesn't stick with you. It's not contagious. I feel like sometimes it's just what you need to do. Feel sad about the loss of things you lost.
Grieving is so important.
I have this.
What's that?
I have this whole home movie in the back of my head, and I'm a kid in it, and I'm, running and playing, shooting basketballs. And I feel sad. It doesn't stay with me too long.
That's real. To lament and grieve, we are constantly losing something. To deny that part of ourselves is not honest. I'm glad you brought that up. Could you say anything else about it?
Yeah, I came to this group one time and I bragged that I had discovered a way to turn right without falling as freezing.
Awesome.
You have to shift your way to the left side. I was
Cool.
pleased with myself. I thought, this is it. I figured this out.
So
But it
that's
turned out to be the beginning of freezing.
okay.
Freezing all the time now.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too.
Thank you for sharing that, Kathy. I did have a question, and we can send us off here unless, Bill, can you get unmuted one more time?
Uh-oh.
No.
But I don't want to skip over the sadness either while Bill gets unmuted again. In case you want to talk more about that, call me. Okay, Bill.
You said the cannabis. I've used the CBD cream for my legs and for hurt. I take CBD cream that really helps.
Do you take chewables?
No, I oil.
Oil.
A tincture of some label?
Oh, no, oil and cream.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a lot of
I went to therapy, and they have the SNAP. Are you familiar with that? It's you type in and it talks for you.
Ooh, I want one of those.
Yeah, well, it's very, very clever.
What's it called?
It's a SNAP, SNAP. Well, here's the CBD cream they use. It's 1,000 milligrams.
Yes, that's wonderful. That helps me too.
But
Arnica.
Okay, well, we've kept you way over time. Thank you so much, Kiddo, for being here. But my final question is really important, and it is, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh.
It's
I don't
obviously
mind
not that important.
coming here and wasting all my time. Cause when you're standing oh so near, you kind of lose my mind. Yeah. Or my hands were shaking, my heart was breaking, there's bugs crawling all over me. And then it goes, son of a bitch, give me a drink. That part I leave out. I say, son of a bitch, I have Parkinson's.
Okay, I love that. Well, I just remember the first time we met you, or at least the first time I met you, somehow you were stuck on a train and we were all trying to find a karaoke bar, and we never found you. In Kyoto, yeah. Again, I'm still in Japan. Yeah.
Steph is still in Japan.
I'm still in Japan.
Oh, we got one last comment.
One
from
last
Paul, who
comment?
said
Okay.
about
On
sadness.
sadness, yeah.
Sadness. Wait a bit. It will go away. Read The Peaceful Warrior by
Worrier.
Peaceful Worrier. Where are my glasses? By Dan Millman. A quick read. I found it worthwhile. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Great. Kiddo, you're a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much for being here. I loved how you started, and then I loved the middle, and I loved the end, and everything in between. Lisa, do you have any
And
last?
the hip hop.
Yeah, the hippie hoppy, the
No.
kiddo, the beat, yes, all that stuff. So we would
We
love
really
to hang
appreciate.
out soon.
Yeah.
Thank you all for
Oh,
being
disco.
here.
Oh, nice.
Disco,
We're
look at
coming
that.
to your house tomorrow,
Yeah,
so be
disco.
careful.
That's what she, yeah, careful what you wish for. We'll never leave. Or we will leave you a 6-minute message. Thank you all for being here. If you don't know who we are, we're Lisa and Steph, and we're pd-connect.org.
Yeah,
we are recording and we will send this back out. So if you don't get our newsletter, check out our website, register for it. We teach exercise and education for people with Parkinson's. That's why we're all here. And yes, also Being Well with Chronic Illness and Brain Fables are 2 really great books. Thank you, Heather Kiddo, for being here. I can't wait for you to come back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Heather. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Come back and listen. I'll listen next time.
We love that. You already listened some. I mean, you listened for like over an hour. So that's amazing. Thank you.
Appreciate you.